I recognized him long before I saw his face. The way he walked slow, bent, dragging his feet like every step hurt made my stomach twist. I was leaving the bank with some papers in my hand when I saw a thin man leaning into a dumpster, sorting through crushed cans and scraps. For a moment, the world around me blurred. It was him. My ex. His clothes hung off him like old rags. His hair was white and tangled, his beard overgrown, his skin gray from fatigue and hunger. He looked nothing like the man who once built houses, fixed anything that broke, kissed me goodnight, and swore he'd always protect me. Yet one glance, and I knew. I froze on the sidewalk, unable to move, as memories hit me one after another. The day he left, the short goodbye letter, the debts, the way my life collapsed in a matter of months. For years, I hated him with a fire that never truly died. And now life was showing him to me like this lost, dirty, invisible. Something inside me cracked. I stepped toward him. My heels clicked on the pavement, and he lifted his head, startled. When our eyes met, recognition hit him like a blow. His shaking hands dropped the can he was holding. "You shouldn't see me like this," he muttered, looking away. "Please, just keep walking." But I couldn't. I stood right in front of him, fighting the urge to cry as I noticed the cracks on his fingers, the swelling in his feet, the trembling in his thin arms. "What happened to you?" I whispered. He tried to turn away, but I held his arm gently. "I deserve the truth. After everything you left me with, tell me why you're living like this." His lips pressed together. Fear flickered in his eyes, real fear, not shame. "You were never supposed to find me," he whispered. "I made sure of it." "Why?" I asked. He swallowed hard, voice breaking. "To protect you." Before I could ask another question, his knees buckled. His body collapsed into mine like an old tree finally giving out. I screamed for help, holding his head against my lap while a couple nearby called an ambulance. In the flashing red lights, I looked at his pale face. The same man who once promised to keep me safe now fading in my arms. And I knew with terrifying clarity, whatever truth he'd been running from was about to drag both of us into a storm one wasn't prepared for. But what he told me in the hospital later that night shattered everything I thought I knew about our past. The doctors worked on him for hours. Severe dehydration, anemia, malnutrition, words that hit me like stones. I waited outside the emergency room with my hands shaking, replaying his collapse again and again. When they finally let me see him, he was lying under harsh white lights, his body still, his breathing shallow. But when I whispered his name, his eyelids fluttered open. "Leave," he murmured immediately. "My problems aren't yours anymore." I stepped closer. "You left me drowning in debt. You left without a word. You owe me the truth." His chest rose unevenly. He turned his face toward the wall, the pain in his expression deeper than anything his body had suffered. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then finally, with a voice barely above a breath, he spoke. "The day I disappeared, I wasn't supposed to come back. I was supposed to die." I felt my throat close. "What are you talking about?" He stared at the ceiling, his eyes distant. "People came after me. Powerful people. They forced me to sign documents, contracts, financial papers. When I tried to refuse, they showed me something." His voice broke. "A picture of you, walking out of our building, alone." A cold wave rushed through me. "They told me that if I opened my mouth, if I tried to clear my name, you would pay for it. They knew your routines. They knew where you shopped, where you walked. They knew when you were alone." I clenched the railing of the bed, my heart pounding like a hammer. "So you left?" I whispered. "I vanished," he corrected. "I erased myself. I needed you to believe I abandoned you. If you loved me or tried to find me, you'd be in danger." I covered my trembling mouth. "All those years, I hated you. I needed you too," he said, tears sliding down the sides of his face. Your anger kept you alive. I stepped back, feeling my entire past rearranging itself. Every debt notice, every eviction, every night. I cried thinking he had chosen another life. None of it was what I believed. You ruined us, I said, choking on the words. I saved you, he whispered. My legs nearly gave out. For so long, I blamed him for destroying my life. But now I understood someone else had destroyed his, and he took the fall to keep me breathing. Before I could speak again, a shadow passed by the room window. A man in a dark jacket stood watching us, his expression unreadable. When our eyes met, he quickly turned and walked away. My stomach twisted with dread. Something was beginning, something dangerous. And the next morning, he told me about a secret he had hidden for years, one that could bring powerful men to their knees, or get us both killed. He barely slept that night. Every time he drifted off, he jolted awake as if chased by something only he could see. I stayed beside his bed, watching the shadows move across the hospital floor, feeling the weight of an unseen danger creeping closer. At dawn, he motioned weakly for me to sit. I need to tell you something, he said. Something I never planned to reveal. I braced myself. The night before I disappeared, he whispered, I hid a box. A metal box. It has everything: documents, recordings, signatures, bank transfers. The proof of everything they forced me to take the blame for. My heartbeat quickened. Where is it? In the old workshop where I used to work. Behind a false shelf. I buried it so deep even I prayed no one would ever find it. I stared at him, stunned. You kept evidence. All this time. I had to, he said. It was the only thing protecting you. As long as they thought I wasn't talking, they left you alone. I swallowed hard, thunder rolling in my chest. Then we need that box. His eyes widened with panic. No. If you go there and they see you, it's too late, I cut him off. They already know you're alive. They were at your door last night. He looked away, trembling. Then we're out of time. I didn't wait for permission. A few hours later, while he slept, I left the hospital. The streets felt too quiet. As if the city knew something I didn't. I found a taxi, gave the address, and prayed I wasn't being followed. The workshop looked abandoned, rusted metal. Broken windows, dust swirling in the sunbeams. The air smelled of old oil and secrets. I walked slowly, every step echoing loudly in the silence. The shelf was exactly where he described. I moved boxes aside, pressed along the edges of the wall until my fingers found a small, uneven patch. Using a rusted tool I found nearby, I chipped and pried until the earth loosened. Then I saw at the edge of a metal box. My hands shook as I pulled it free. It was heavier than I expected. Inside, I found folders sealed tight. Flash drives, contracts with real signatures, photographs of men shaking hands beside unfinished construction sites, lists of payments, hidden bank accounts, things powerful men would kill to erase. I closed the box, clutching it tightly. When I stepped outside, a dark car at the corner started its engine. My stomach dropped. They knew. Someone had followed me. I ducked into a nearby store, pretending to browse until the car circled twice and finally disappeared. When I returned to the hospital and showed him the box, he stared at me with tears in his eyes. You've just declared war, he whispered. And in less than 24 hours, that war came straight to our hospital door. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the hospital hallway with the metal box hidden beneath my coat, my eyes locked on every shadow that moved. Something in the air felt wrong, too still, too sharp. The kind of quiet that comes before a storm. By morning, the storm arrived. 3 men in suits wandered the corridor, pretending to ask nurses for directions. They looked at room numbers, whispered to each other, then lingered near my husband's door longer than any visitor should. When one of them tried the handle, I stepped forward. Can I help you? I asked. They didn't answer. They simply walked away. I re-entered the room with my heart pounding like a drum. He looked at my face and understood instantly. "They're here already," he whispered. "They're scared," I corrected. "And when people like them get scared, they start doing reckless things." He nodded weakly. "There's something you still don't know. Something I should have told you years ago." His voice cracked. "If those documents get out, if the wrong name surfaces, they won't just come for me. They'll come for you." I squeezed his hand. "Let them. I'm not running." But inside, I felt a terror I didn't dare show. This wasn't just corruption or stolen money. It was a network, people in office, people in uniform, people with power to erase entire lives. We needed help. I called an old journalist I trusted, a man who had exposed major crimes decades ago. When he saw just 2 pages from the box, the color drained from his face. "This isn't a case," he whispered. "This is an earthquake." He contacted a young district attorney willing to listen. That night, we slipped copies of the files into safes, secured backups, and began a quiet operation behind the scenes. But the other side wasn't sleeping. 2 days later, I returned home to find my front door open. Nothing was stolen, except one thing. My wedding album. A message. They knew exactly who mattered to me. When I ran back to the hospital, he had taken a sudden turn for the worse. Fever, breathing trouble. They rushed him to a different ward. I held his hand through the bars of the bed as he whispered, "If anything happens to me, don't stop." "I won't," I promised. "Not anymore." And I didn't. The next 48 hours unleashed a storm across the entire city. Arrests, public scandals, powerful names falling one after another. Everything we'd lived through was finally being dragged into the light. But he didn't get to see the ending. His body, worn from years of suffering, couldn't hold on any longer. I was at his side when he took his final breath, a faint smile on his face. "It was worth it," he whispered. "You're safe." His truth lived. His sacrifice finally had a voice, and I promised myself that I would carry it every day, for the rest of my life. And that is how a woman who lost everything became the one who brought an entire empire of corruption to its knees. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story so more people remember. No matter how old you are, it's never too late to stand up for yourself.